thank you to SheTalks, and thank you to all of you for the opportunity to come and speak with you today. I'm very humbled by all of the speakers that we've had today, and I'm going to start by admitting my own very large confidence gap, because I am a very science technical kind of person, and I'm pretty comfortable giving science and technical talks. I'm not so comfortable talking about myself. I see some nodding of heads. I think probably the other speakers who've been up here today have probably experienced that a bit themselves. So because I'm not really that necessarily comfortable talking about myself, I have notes. This is to try to keep me on time, and who's my timekeeper? Who gets to flash the, okay, so I hope between you and the notes I'll come in close to 8 minutes. But anyway, I'll start off with a little bit of my background. Yes, I am a geologist. I have a PhD in geology. And it's interesting, the theme today has been so much about flying. I also have a pilot's license, and I gotta say, I won't jump out of a plane without a parachute, I can tell you that right now. But learning how to fly was one of those really neat experiences that I think challenged me. I could not say enough positive things about taking new opportunities like that to learn really new things, and I'm already going way off my notes. But anyway, getting back to me, my passion really is science and technology. My career has all been research and research management, and I'm passionate about geology. I'm passionate about the resource industries and the industry in which I work, and the public good, and what geology and the resource industries can do for the public good. That's really what drives me, and that's what's defined my career. And yes, I'm presently the Chief Scientific Officer for Imperial Metals here in Vancouver. I joined them about a month after the Mount Polley tailings spill, and I joined them to help advise and guide the company on all of the monitoring and the impact assessment and the remediation work that they've been doing at the site. And I have to say, I have a huge amount of respect. I'm phenomenally impressed with the people at that mine and the work that they've done. So I'll just put a little plug out there for them. For me personally, this has probably been one of the largest applied science type research projects that I've ever worked on, and I'm finding it very exciting. Prior to Imperial, I had the opportunity to run a nonprofit organization in Vancouver called Geoscience BC, and it was a job that, again, was a fantastic combination of all of my passions, and I felt really, really fortunate to be able to do that. Interestingly enough, I'm going to step back, and the story I'm going to tell you today is actually about a point that was fairly early in my career where I had a phenomenal opportunity that I almost missed. And that was that I started out my career working for the federal government in Ottawa as well, actually a support geologist, a research assistant, and then I moved into being a research scientist myself and then a research manager. But when I was at the point of being a research assistant, I was encouraged by my supervisor to go back to university and do a PhD. And he said, yes, we'll probably be able to support you part-time. So I did. I went back to school. I was about a year or so into my PhD, and then the organization had to lay me off. They went through a downsizing, and I was pretty devastated. And I thought, oh, what am I going to do? I guess I'm going to finish my PhD, and then, well, we'll see what happens then. So I thought I'll just focus on my studies. And interestingly enough, just a few weeks after I got the layoff notice from the Geological Survey, I got a phone call in my graduate student office. I was at Carleton University in Ottawa. I got a phone call from Revenue Canada. And I thought, oh crap. Every year I'd made a little mistake on my taxes, usually in the government's favor, but I thought, oh man, have I really messed it up this time? So I asked, I said, is this about my taxes? And the woman on the phone said, oh no, this is about a job opportunity. And so I said, who were you asking for? Because we were a communal office with a bunch of cubicles in it, and I thought, oh, they got the right person. Anyway, she said, oh no, and she said my name, and I went, oh, that's me. And she said, well, we have a job opening in the R&D tax credit program. I'm wondering if you'd be interested in coming in for an interview. And I said, well, how'd you get my name? Because I knew I hadn't applied for this job because I'd never heard of the R&D tax credit program. And she said, oh, they found a copy of my resume on file with the Public Service Commission. And then I remembered, oh yeah, if you get laid off, the Public Service Commission has a program now called Workforce Adjustment. This is back in the day. This is like the late 80s, I'll have to admit. Yeah, late 80s. And if you were a recently laid off public servant, there was this program, and it was called Workforce Adjustment, and my supervisor had very intelligently made sure that I kept my resume on file with them after I got laid off. But the other story on that program was all of us in government figured this was a program where they had to interview a couple of people who'd been laid off, and so I figured I was going to be one of those token interviewees. So anyway, I didn't think much of it. But then a couple of days later, I just happened to be talking to a friend who was still working for the Geological Survey and had actually just gotten a layoff notice. They were still going through downsizing. So I told him I'd received this call. And so he said, well, when are you going for the interview? And I went, oh, I haven't scheduled it yet. And he goes, well, what's the job description look like? And I said, oh, I never asked him for the job description. So his comments, and I quote, were, don't be an idiot. Get the job description, have a look at it, and go to the interview. Even just going to the interview is good practice. And so I kind of sheepishly called them back at Revenue Canada and asked for the job description and scheduled the interview. So they faxed the job description to me. Okay, faxing, that probably gives away my age. They faxed the job description to me at Carleton University. It was pretty funny actually being in the graduate department in geology at Carleton and have a fax. And this was big long pages of government in both languages coming in from Revenue Canada. So this was the talk of the department. And I went, no, I don't think I'm in trouble. Anyway, the job description looked like something that I was not qualified for. I just looked at it and went, what do I know about science and tax policy or program administration? And so I was convinced I was a token interview. Anyway, but what really caught my interest was the program. It's like, wow, there's an R&D tax credit program. I'm pretty much into the writing stage of my PhD. The industry's not doing so well these days. I'm likely to be an unemployed research geologist. Maybe I'll start my own research company. I want to know how to get those tax credits. So I dove into researching the program. I phoned them back again and got more information about it. Had them send me all the information, and I studied up, and I came up with a page and a half of questions because I thought, I've got this interview, I'm going to use that time, and I'm going to find out how to get those tax credits. So I went to this interview on a mission, not the mission they probably thought I was there for, but anyway. So I don't even really remember the interview, but I guess it went pretty well. But of course, they got to the point where, and do you have any questions for us? Out comes the page and a half. So I started firing away, and about 45 minutes later, I was satisfied that I'd gotten a lot of answers and was packing up and thanked them for their time and was ready to go. And they said, would you like the job? And I just about fell over. I went, really? So other than that foolish response to a job offer, I kind of then shut my mouth and thought, wow, this went better than I thought it would. And I started work for them the next week. And so a few months later, I actually worked up my nerve. I was a little more comfortable there to ask my supervisor, like, why did you guys hire me? And I was even surprised they'd interviewed me. And he said, well, we were really, really impressed with your resume. I mean, I'd done a lot of field work and I'd done lab work, and I had, I guess for them, they said, well, you've done basic and applied research, you've worked a little bit with industry, you've worked in a lot of different settings. Also, I'd totally forgotten, I'd done the Canadian Securities course, partly out of curiosity, and had that on my resume. I guess that probably looked impressive to Revenue Canada. And I'd actually launched myself off to France for a month to live with a family and try to learn some French a few years before. And so all those things I had discounted in my own resume. It hadn't occurred to me that those things would look interesting to a possible or prospective employer. But anyway, most of all, though, he said he was really, really impressed with my passion for the program and the questions that I'd asked. I didn't tell him then. I told him that another year or so later. Oh, by the way, you know, when I came to the interview, what I really wanted to know was, yeah, how do I get these credits? But anyway, the experience that I got in that job took me from being essentially like a research assistant, and to Revenue Canada's credit, they were also really keen on me finishing my PhD, so they let me take leave without pay to go off and write a chapter every few months, and I'd come back to work. But the experience I got there in science policy, in program administration, in briefing deputy ministers, and dealing with industry associations and lobby groups, it was an unbelievable exposure and opportunity for me, and I made the most of it while I was there. I really, really enjoyed that job. And then, interestingly enough, the place I really wanted to work, which was the Geological Survey of Canada, headhunted me back 3 years later. The other neat thing was the job at Revenue Canada was a way higher level than what I'd had at the Geological Survey, and I went back to a much higher level job. So I guess I have 1 minute, I got 1 minute, excellent, because I was just at my conclusions, yay. So the two lessons for me from this experience really were the value of passion. And I can't say enough, I've been really fortunate. Every job that I've had has been something that's really passionate to me. And I think that's because I'm pursuing the things that are my passion. So I can't say enough how important it is to pursue the things that really interest you or get you really charged up, because you work harder and you work better at the things that you're really passionate about. So for me, it's been science and technology, it's been geology, it's been the resource industries, and it's been public good. And those are the things I've had the opportunity to do at every stage of my career. But the other lesson that was really important to me, and I have to keep reminding myself of this because I think I do it and I think a lot of us in the room do it, we sell ourselves short. We don't give ourselves enough credit for all of the things that we've done, all of the experiences that we've had, be they personal, professional, volunteer, all of those experiences add value to ourselves, and don't overlook those like I almost did. If it hadn't been for that friend of mine who said, don't be an idiot, get the job description and schedule the interview, I would have missed what was probably the most pivotal point in my career that really opened up my eyes to what I could do, and she's saying, please stop. So I will say thank you very much. I consider myself truly fortunate. Hope all of you have the opportunity to pursue your passions like I have. Thank you very much.